What's up guys, Sub-Zerark here, and today I'll be teaching you a few things you might not know about Dragon in League of Legends. Dragon is a huge part of the game, but I think there are a lot of things about it that go unnoticed, so without further ado, let's get into it. We start with a few things that you probably already know. The Dragon's respawn timer is 6 minutes, and up to 3 different dragons spawn per game. This means that you're not going to see all 4 dragons spawn in one game. You're only going to see, say, fire, wind, and earth, or water, fire, and earth. Something like that. However, once you get past that, we get into some facts that most people probably haven't looked into. All dragons have 30% armor penetration on their auto attacks, and all dragons' autos do 7% of current health damage. These are some nitty-gritty things that can actually matter a lot when you go into damage calculations, which we'll get into a little bit further in the video. Also, after slaying one dragon, future dragons do 20% bonus damage and take 7% less damage per dragon you've slain, which can scale up to 21% less damage when you're on the 4th dragon. So this means that, say, you slay 2 dragons and then you get to take the 3rd one, that dragon is going to do 20% bonus damage and take 14% less damage per dragon you've slain, and this is for your entire team. However, for the enemy team, they're not going to have this debuff unless they've already taken a dragon. So that's something very interesting that allows for teams with fewer dragons to do dragons easier and come back into the game. Also, in the same vein as this, Dragon grants bonus XP if your team is behind in levels. So say your average team level is about 14 and your average opponent team level is about 16, you're actually going to get a significant chunk of bonus XP, about 50% of the XP of the dragon in bonus XP. So that's pretty important if you're trying to do the dragon from behind, and with this previous buff I've also explained, it shows that doing dragon from behind can actually be really helpful. Now, after we've got through these general tips, I want to go into all of the dragons and talk about what makes each of them unique, because while some people just see them as unique buffs, they also have unique stats that make them very different when you're doing them. So, as you'll see here, the first thing we have for each dragon is its DPS calculation. So you'll see that Infernal Drake, Ocean Drake, and Cloud Drake all have 50 DPS, and Mountain Drake has 37.5 DPS. So from that we can obviously tell that Mountain Drake has the lowest DPS. Now interestingly enough, while Infernal and Ocean Drake have the same attack speed, Cloud Drake actually attacks the fastest out of all the dragons, but it has less AD, so it comes out to the same DPS. However, if you factor in what I said previously about dragons doing 7% current health damage per auto attack, you see that Cloud Drake actually has the highest DPS because it's auto attacking so much. As far as health and magic and armor resist goes, Infernal, Ocean, and Cloud Drake are all the same. However, Mountain Drake is actually significantly more tanky, starting with 350 more health and gaining 24 more health per level, and also starting with 20 more magic and armor resist. So you can see this all detailed right below it. Infernal Drake has no special effects, it's pretty plain, and it gives the percent AD and AP. Ocean Drake also has the buff that its auto attacks slow by 30%. So this can mean when you're contesting a dragon, it's a lot easier to kill the enemy team if they're doing Ocean Drake, because they'll be slowed down, they can get trapped in your AoE or hit by your skill shots. And when you take Ocean Drake, the buff restores 4 to 12% missing HP and mana per 8 seconds out of combat. Cloud Drake, as I mentioned earlier, has the lowest AD and the highest attack speed, but it also has higher movement speed than other dragons. This means that if you're pulling it out of the pit, it'll move faster, or if it's chasing someone down, it will also move faster, which, while minor, can actually make a difference. And its buff is, of course, plus 25 up to 75 movement speed out of combat. And last, Mountain Drake, as I've mentioned already, has the highest AD and lowest attack speed, but it also has the highest base MR and armor and health, which is very interesting. It's a very tanky dragon, but it might be easier to do for some teams just because it doesn't have, say, the slowing effect of the Ocean Drake or the damage of the Cloud Drake. And when you kill it, you get 20 to 30% damage to epic monsters and turrets depending on how many you've taken. Now, these stats all make the dragons very interesting, and I thought this alone was worth making a video on, but I also came across a factor on the Elder Dragon that I didn't realize. So, if we go to that, we can see that the aspect of the dragons, true damage on spells and auto attacks, scales with the number of dragons slain and number of Elder Dragons slain. So most people know that Elder Dragon increases the buffs that you already have on your dragons by 50%. However, some people might not know that the Elder Dragon's buff of burning true damage on spells and autos scales with dragons, and it also scales with Elder Dragons. And the formula for that is 45 times the number of Elder Dragons slain plus 45 times the number of normal dragons slain. Which means that if you slay 3 dragons, and then slay an Elder Dragon, and then you waste that buff, you slay another Elder Dragon, that buff is actually going to be stronger than the first Elder Dragon buff you got, because you'll have slain 2 Elder Dragons at that point. So, hopefully you guys learned something about Dragon from this video. I know I sure did. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content like this, and to follow me on Twitch for high elo games with analysis and commentary that I do to the best of my ability. I received compliments on it, so you know I must be good. I have a Soraka montage I might release soon, so that's something to look forward to if you're into very strange things. And that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. Bye. What these people who really want to go pro should be doing is following people who are at that level and asking them, hey, how did you get there? And then when they say, hey, I played 8 hours a day, I basically had no life, and eventually I got good, you have to say, well, is that a sacrifice I want to make? Because, you know, people who are in their house all the time don't really...